5 years ago, piracy was a relic of the past. Streaming had conquered the world. For under $10, you had the entire history of cinema at your fingertips. No viruses, no buffering, no stress. But today, a staggering 216 billion visits are flooding illegal streaming sites every single year. That is a number so large it breaks the scale of internet traffic. The very corporations that eradicated piracy have accidentally engineered its golden age. By prioritizing quarterly profit margins over basic customer loyalty, streaming titans committed the most expensive blunder in entertainment history. They fragmented their libraries, doubled their subscription fees, and started treating loyal families like digital thieves. Now, an entire generation is rebelling. Today, modern piracy platforms look better, run faster, and offer more content than the biggest names in Hollywood. The industry is bleeding an estimated $13 billion, and panic is setting in. This is the untold story of how corporate greed resurrected an unconquerable enemy. Cast your mind back to 2010. One company had quietly changed the rules of entertainment forever. Netflix was not just offering films, it was offering something more powerful. Convenience at a price so low it felt like a trick. $7.99 a month. No ads, no late fees, no waiting. For the first time in history, a consumer could sit down on a Sunday night and watch an entire television series from start to finish without asking anyone's permission. The whole model of entertainment, built on scarcity and scheduled broadcasting, collapsed almost overnight. And Netflix was smart about it. It did not just license content. It spent billions creating original programming that could not be found anywhere else. House of Cards, Stranger Things, The Crown. These were not television shows. They were cultural events. The platform understood something that every entertainment executive before them had missed. People do not pay for content. They pay for the feeling that everything they could possibly want is already inside. Netflix sold completeness. It sold the end of the search. For roughly a decade, it worked. Subscribers climbed past 200 million. Wall Street called it untouchable. Analysts called it a monopoly of convenience. But here is what nobody said aloud in those boardrooms. The entire empire was built on a psychological contract with the customer. And that contract had terms. The moment Disney pulled its content from Netflix in 2019 to launch Disney+, the contract cracked. Then came HBO Max, Peacock, Paramount+, Apple TV+, and a dozen more. Every major studio looked at Netflix's valuation and made the same calculation. Why share the economics when we can own the platform? It was rational. It was also catastrophic for the viewer. By 2025, the average American household was subscribing to approximately 4 streaming services and spending between $61 and $70 a month. Some research puts that number even higher. By 2026, the typical US household subscribed to 4.7 streaming services, paying nearly $80 a month, more than a basic cable package cost a decade ago. The cord-cutting revolution had come full circle. Consumers had traded one expensive fragmented bundle for another expensive fragmented bundle. Except this time, the content they wanted was scattered across 6 different apps, each with a different login, a different interface, and a different billing cycle. 62% of streaming subscribers now say there are simply too many services. The promise of cheap, centralized entertainment was gone, and the consumer noticed. If this is making you rethink what you're paying for, hit subscribe. Every consumer has what economists call a willingness to pay. It is not fixed. It is psychological. It bends under pressure, shifts under perceived value, and snaps at the exact moment a purchase stops feeling like a fair trade. The streaming industry found that threshold and then stepped directly past it. Netflix's standard plan cost $12.99 in 2019. By 2025, it had risen to $17.99 in most markets. That is a 38% price increase over 6 years, delivered in quiet incremental hikes timed to earnings calls. Each increase arrived with a press release about new features, better resolution, or expanded content. The logic was plausible on paper, but behavioural economics tells a different story. Once a consumer is conditioned to pay a specific price for a specific experience, any deviation from that experience registers as a loss, not just a change. The platforms were not just raising prices, they were rewriting the contract, and they did it while simultaneously delivering less. Shows moved between platforms, content libraries shrank, ad-free tiers became a premium instead of a standard. Streaming costs jumped 22% in 2025 alone, with major services including Netflix, Hulu and Max pushing subscribers toward higher-priced premium tiers and bundled packages. The consumer's response was not anger, it was arithmetic, and the arithmetic pointed somewhere the industry did not want to look. In 2017, Netflix tweeted 4 words that would haunt it for years. Love is sharing a password. It was charming. It was deliberate. It was the brand positioning of a company that understood loyalty as a long game. By 2023, that same company had reversed its entire philosophy and treated those same loyal customers as liabilities. Netflix acknowledged that over 100 million households were sharing passwords globally. The company framed this as theft. The crackdown launched in the US in May 2023, and Netflix added 50 million new paying subscribers within 18 months of implementing global restrictions. The financial press called it a masterstroke. But beneath those subscriber numbers, something else was happening. Netflix's lax stance on shared accounts had been a core reason for its growth, allowing people to carry the platform with them as they moved out of their parents' homes or away from old roommates. That casual relationship had been building the brand's next generation of full-price subscribers for free. The crackdown did not convert that pipeline, it fractured it. And the competitors who copied the strategy found the same thing. The average household that shared subscriptions with 3 people in 2024 was sharing with just 1 person by 2025. But instead of converting password sharers into paying customers, many simply walked away. You do not recover trust from a customer you publicly called a criminal. The industry had just handed Piracy its single greatest recruitment campaign in history, and it was not done yet. Of everything the streaming era produced, nothing radicalized the casual viewer faster than this, discovering that a show they loved had been deleted, not moved, not licensed elsewhere. Deleted. Gone from every platform, every archive, every legal source, erased from the cultural record in exchange for a tax benefit. Warner Bros. Discovery cancelled both Batgirl and Scoob. Holiday Haunt in 2022. Films already completed and set to debut on HBO Max, reportedly to record tax write-downs in Q3 of that year. The company then pulled Westworld and The Nevers from the platform entirely, with anonymous sources reporting that no existing show was safe from potential cancellation or write-off. These were not failed pilots or unloved experiments. These were finished products, built with hundreds of millions of dollars and years of creative work that actors, writers, and directors had invested their careers in. The message the industry sent to its audience was simple and devastating. The content you love is a financial instrument, and we will dispose of it whenever the spreadsheet demands it. For a generation of viewers who'd been told that streaming meant access forever, this was a betrayal with no explanation that felt adequate. When the thing you paid to watch disappears overnight, the platform that replaced it starts to look a great deal more reliable. Here is the uncomfortable truth the streaming industry does not want to say in a quarterly earnings call. Modern piracy sites offer better interfaces than Netflix, and in the US, around 9 million broadband subscribers are paying for illegal on-demand TV or IPTV services. These are not the sketchy, malware-ridden torrents of 2009. The modern illegal streaming ecosystem is a product. A well-designed, user-tested, regularly updated product. No ads, no loading failures, no geo-restrictions, no content deletions, no price tiers. Search a title, and it is there. Every episode, every season, every quality setting. On demand, immediately. The pirate developers understood something that Silicon Valley forgot. User experience is not a feature, it is the product. While Netflix was rolling out new password restrictions and Disney Plus was adding ad tiers, the illegal platforms were iterating on interface design and expanding their content libraries. 96% of piracy today is streaming-based, not downloads. The entire infrastructure of illegal consumption has rebuilt itself around the same convenience model that Netflix pioneered. The difference is that piracy delivered on the promise and the legal platforms did not. That gap is not a content problem. It is a product problem. And product problems do not get solved by better lawyers. The generation that grew up with streaming is now the generation abandoning it, and their behaviour is not impulsive, it is calculated. Between December 2025 and January 2026, 37% of Gen Z subscribers cancelled at least one streaming service due to subscription fatigue. Another 29% said they plan to do the same soon. But this is not simply cancellation. This demographic is not leaving entertainment. They are redesigning their relationship with it. By the end of 2025, 56% of Gen Z subscribers reported holding 3 or more video streaming subscriptions, but carrying multiple subscriptions does not reflect long-term loyalty. They subscribe for a month to watch one series, cancel, then rotate to the next platform. They call this subscription cycling. The industry calls it churn. Up to 76% of young people admit to watching pirated content, while still maintaining at least one legal subscription. This is not a generation that wants to pirate everything. It is a generation that has been priced into a hybrid model and found it perfectly comfortable. The loyalty that streaming giants spent a decade building has been converted into pure transactional behaviour. Every price hike, every deleted show, and every password ban accelerated that conversion. The platforms taught their most valuable demographic that content is disposable. The audience simply agreed. Now the bill arrives, and it is staggering. Online video piracy alone cost the global media and entertainment industry $75 billion annually, growing at 11% per year. Analysts project that US video providers alone will face over $113 billion in cumulative lost revenues from streaming piracy by 2027, with roughly $30 billion lost per year already, and 80% of those losses attributed directly to streaming theft. These are not abstract projections. They are the direct financial consequence of decisions made in boardrooms between 2019 and 2024. Every price hike that pushed a subscriber to cancel, every deleted show that killed a viewer's trust, every password ban that drove a household to a free illegal alternative instead. At current growth rates, digital piracy losses are expected to reach $125 billion annually by 2028. And the production industry compounds the damage. A study found that US online TV and film piracy results in the loss of between 230,000 and 560,000 jobs each year. These are not executive positions. These are editors, sound designers, camera operators, post-production workers, the infrastructure of an industry that convinced itself the problem was password sharing rather than the product it had built. There is a principle in consumer psychology that every successful subscription business is built on. The moment the effort required to leave exceeds the frustration of staying, the customer stays. Netflix understood this in 2015. It forgot it by 2023. Piracy platforms recorded 216 billion visits in 2024, up from 130 billion in 2020. That growth did not happen because consumers became more dishonest. It happened because the legal alternative became harder, more expensive, and less reliable than the illegal one. The customer will always find the path of least resistance. That is not a moral failing. It is physics. When you raise the friction on the legal side and simultaneously lower it on the illegal side, the direction of travel becomes inevitable. The streaming industry built the most elegant entertainment distribution system in human history. Then it dismantled the elegance piece by piece in pursuit of quarterly targets. It fragmented its own product, criminalized its own customers, and deleted the art that made people care in the first place. Piracy did not win the streaming war through superior technology. It won because the other side forgot why people showed up. With losses projected to hit $125 billion by 2028, the reckoning is no longer coming. It is already here. If you found this story worth your time, subscribe and share it with someone who still thinks piracy is just about cheap people. The real story is about something the industry chose to do to itself. And there is more where this came from.